Okay, so here we go. Back with another episode of the Uncivilized Arts Podcast. I'm your host, Bundy Hazan, but I go by, let me move the microphone a little bit, but I go by Bandit Haze in the online space. And I'm back with my very favorite cosplay extraordinaire artiste. Stay creative, stay alive, be creative, be
Oh,
good. No, that's not it. Stay inspired, stay creative. Is that it?
yeah, stay inspired, be creative.
Stay
And
inspired,
we're
be
going to
creative.
you getting your introduction better. I can't believe it must be an
I need
introduction.
to work on that introduction for sure. But yeah, Celeste Orchid joins me today. And this episode, we're going to be talking, well, really all about Celeste when it comes down to it. We're going to be talking a lot about cosplay. And I guess similar to what we, what talked about with Sweet Bundy a few episodes back, where we talked about, balancing geekiness and life. But this time with a more specific cosplay lean as out of myself, Bundy, and Orchid. Orchid's the only one that is an actual parent, with actual responsibilities and
Yes.
actual important things to do. So I think it'd be good to talk about this with her, like how she balances all that, being a mother of two little boys and a couple of dogs, and with her husband you got to look after her as well, and then you got to do your cosplay all on top of that. So we're going to talk about all of that in a little bit, but before all that, Celeste, how you been? What you been doing? What you been up to? What you been watching? What you been playing? If indeed you've been doing anything, because as I say,
Oh my
life's
goodness.
busy, right?
It is busy. It's crazy. So recently I have been watching some new kind of drama series on Netflix because I'm always on Netflix. It's called The Longest Promise. I wanted to try some international flavor right now, and so I'm watching this Chinese drama. I'm not feeling it that well. I do like these like slow romance burn kind of things every blue moon, and this is just not my cup of tea. It's like, oh yeah, he's like the crown prince and she's totally like wanting to learn magic and he helps her and then scandal. I'm like, dude, this sucks. I can see where this is going, but I'm determined to finish it. So we'll see where it goes. Come back to me later. I have been able to put down my newborn son to play League of Legends right now. So
Just
it's been so good. I'm like,
always got time for league. Always got
yeah,
time for league.
no, no,
Children
no,
or
no,
no
no, no.
children.
Not always time because right now, while this podcast we're filming it, there's this thing called Anima Squad Swarm, and Swarm is this new game mode that they created for this event period. So it's a period of 4 weeks. It's like a month long. It sucks because after that period is done, you don't have it anymore. They take it off the servers, so you can't play. So I'm trying to rush and play it. It is 15 minutes long, and so that's perfect for a mom because like I could either a exit early and not take like a penalty against like rank or anything or just like a loss because the game mode goes away. But if I was to play like an actual game of 5v5, then that would suck. With Swarm, you're fighting against the computers. So if you suck against fighting computers, that's okay. But if you suck fighting against other humans, oh, that's not good. You gotta work on that. So I've been able to play that, and of course, forever and ever, I will be playing phone games. And I'm playing this one called Rumble Heroes. They just had a new patch where it's like fishing, and it's so much fun. I'm like, oh god, I need to find more fishing games. But you go around, it's like a little MMO, and you gather heroes, and you level up the heroes and get items. And I'm like, it's like an RPG, but it's on my phone. So I've been able to satiate myself with that, working on putting out content on TikTok. It's been just those few things. I haven't watched any new movies. Been a little disappointed, but I have finished lots of anime. My first month as like recovery because like I was kind of bedridden, so lots of anime titles that I finished, and boy, are they like running out of things for me to watch on Netflix.
Oh, so you managed to do a few things at least. That's good. That's good. I imagine like mobile games are going to be coming up a lot as in your, because I feel like, because mobile you got your phone with you pretty much all the time, most times, right? And they're just kind of quick, easy to just kind of pick up and play. You don't typically speaking, have to worry about progression and things like that. You just kind of do what you can do whatever time you have. So I imagine like mobile games are going to be a thing for a lot of people, especially like parents, parents or people who just have like busy lives and stuff like that. Like I don't know, my mum plays like these mobile games, and she's been doing it for a while. But if you ask her, she wouldn't call herself a gamer like we might say. But she does play them, and a lot of people just kind of do it because you got your phone with you. You got a few minutes spare, your phone's there, a quick game of whatever you're playing, Candy Crush or whatever, and
exactly. Like I wanted to be able to say like I've been playing Switch games, but honestly, with my baby like drinking milk all the time and potential projectile vomit, I really don't want like curdled milk Switch controllers or on my screen. And I don't think it's an expensive piece of hardware, like compared to a phone. A phone's more expensive, but I think they're more durable than a Switch, unfortunately. So it's kind of sad in the sense that, yes, the Switch is very portable. It's really easy to access. But when it comes to like fluids, liquids, I don't think it stands the test because my phone is actually water resistant to a certain degree. So I can just like wipe it off and I'll be okay. And I don't have to worry about the milk problem. So no, but I have been watching my husband slowly progress through Shadows over Loathing. That game is like intense mind gaming, not like puzzle solving kind of thing. And it still has like an RPG function. It's really cute and fun. And it gets dark at times. So it's very adult humor. But I'm like, me playing it, no, it makes me sad that I haven't been able to really sit down and game. So my consoles are getting dusty and I'm just like, look at all these cool things I want to touch and play and experience. No, just can't.
No. Nope. That's definitely an important consideration, like, vomit or any kind of spilled liquids, like your phone I think phones are generally more durable to that sort of thing. Even phones that aren't strictly speaking waterproof, they tend to be just a bit better at handling certain stuff as long as you don't, of course, get too much water on them or too much liquids on them. So yeah, that is a big consideration if your kids are still in that kind of age where, things come up, things get knocked over and...
Especially like, I don't know if people think about this, but like if you need to change your child quickly or if they have like just an accident. So if you put a diaper on wrong, there are chances that your diaper is going to be exploding with poopy, diarrhea, or pee-pee, and it's going to cover you. And if you're just sitting there and then you lay like the baby on you and then you're playing and then you put your phone, like not phone, but like your Switch or your controller down next to it and they explode, like that could get on your controller. So not only do you have poopy on your controller, you could have pee-pee on your controller. And then before you know it, your controller is like really sticky and dirty. And it's just like, what happened?
Yeah. Like,
that's why we avoid that.
Just sell it on eBay after that. Just say, I just got a controller to sell. Don't worry about its stickiness. Don't worry about its stickiness.
One of my TikToks, I was just like, oh, e-girl Hetzel, look at me take off my face mask. Oh, ASMR. And now you can have a very own piece of me for $20. Just Cash App or Venmo me. Instead, $100 for my used, like, smut controller.
Somebody's probably willing to pay for that. That's the thing, though. That's the mad thing. Somebody probably would pay that.
I mean, no, it's so crazy. I think it was a streamer. They actually had an email pop up when they were going through their links or something. They were trying to talk to their chat and pull up one of their internet browsers, and it was on their email. And someone screenshotted that email, and they read it before they could edit that clip out. And it was her selling her bras to her viewers. I was like, oh, there you go. Yeah. People be hustling. Like, yeah. I'm not going to tell them not to, but I it's a hard time in the USA.
Yeah. I mean, each their own, I guess. But yeah, I mean,
like, there's someone that wants to buy it. Go ahead.
Wait, the way this economy's going. This economy's going, everything's going up. Everything's going up except the wages. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. As long as people are harming each other, I'm okay with it. If you need to sell your socks in like smelly, stinky socks and someone wants to pay you $500 for it, oh my God, like maybe I need to consider it. Or wait. Let's go back to that one topic. When I think we were doing what was it, Ponyo? No, was it Willy Wonka? How are we going to pay Bandit? How much will you sell yourself for?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember that.
Right.
How much would I sell my socks for? I mean,
if someone wanted to buy your socks, what's the price? And they have to be like worn, dirty, oily, and smelly socks. Those are the 4 criteria. So you had imagine you had to wear these socks for a week.
I would say, I mean, I'm not greedy, so I say at least £10 plus, postage.
Plus shipping.
Plus post. I'm not paying for postage. Like the thing is, because if I'm selling my socks, I need to buy new socks, right? So, and I don't typically buy the expensive socks, so I just get like a pack for like £6 or something like that, and then I got £4 to keep for myself. So,
oh no, I get cute socks. Like, okay, growing up, my parents always got those like pack of like Haze or Fruit of the Loom socks. And then eventually I would lose them. And then I'd be like, okay, I don't know where my socks are. So this is a white sock. This is a white sock. I'm going to put them together. No, they did not match. And I'm just like, okay, this sock is clearly too tight. And this one's really droopy. They're not the same brand, but I can't tell them different because I'm a kid. And I swore to myself, when I grow up, I'm not going to have basic ass generic socks. Even the socks I'm wearing right now. Like, here's your free foot show, like they're stars.
stars on white.
No, they're gold. Do you want me to put it closer?
Wait, it look like black stars on white socks.
No, they're gold. Do you see the little shine?
Okay, no, I don't know if that's my screen calibration or the light, but yeah, they look black to me. Are they gold? Okay.
No, the stars are black, but this is cream colored with gold tinsel in it.
Wait, okay, so the stars are black. The socks are gold.
Slightly.
Because the socks look white.
It's not white! Oh my God, I'm going to send you a picture and you're editing. You're going to have
the tinsel
in the gold. Okay, hold on.
What was that dress? What, the blue, is it blue or gold that was going around? Remember that picture?
Yes.
Maybe it's like that.
White, gold, and black, blue. And the worst part is, I'm in between. So I was like a light blue with like a gray tone. So I was like, what's wrong with you people? This dress is like in between. Because like I could see like part of it being like a light blue color, and then I could see part of the black. It was in between. Hold on. I'm sending you the picture of my socks right now because you have to understand there's gold in it. It's not generic. I mean, the stars make it not generic anyways. But I'm trying to prove a point.
All right, I'm just getting that dress image up because I'm trying to remember it myself. Yeah, I see it as black and blue. I don't know if that shows up well on screen, but I saw that dress as black and blue.
I just sent you a picture of my socks with the tinsel so you can see it.
Celeste is sending me foot pics. Okay, cool. Okay, on this screen. Yeah, I can see the gold a bit more on this screen. I think I can see the gold a bit more on this screen. Okay, maybe just on my PC screen it looks a bit different. Maybe, I don't know, calibrations and whatever, but yeah, I can definitely see the gold more on this screen.
My socks are not generic whiteys.
Cool.
No, I will always be able to find the pair to the sock. Otherwise, I will toss the sock and then I get a new pair of cute sock, which sucks. Because I noticed like a lot of my socks I had to get rid of recently because they had holes. And I'm like, when did this happen?
I have a similar rule with my socks actually, because I remember growing up, I'd see my dad wear socks with holes in them. And they'd have these massive holes in them, like, especially like around the heel and all the toe and stuff like that. And he'd just wear them like whatever. Like he just didn't care. And I was kind of like, nah, I'm never going to do that. That's kind of my thing. Like I'm never going to do any socks I get, no matter how small the hole is, both pairs go, So that's like my one rule. I don't mind wearing odd socks. I've done that very purposefully on a few different occasions. I'll wear odd socks, but if I've got a pair of socks where yeah, one's got a hole in it, the other's fine, yeah, both pairs go. That being said, these days most of my socks, in fact all my socks are just the exact same black socks. So it would,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not hard to I mix and match. They don't want to say they're all exactly the same style, color, size. Yeah, I'm not putting much
You
effort
hope it's in
into
the
sock
same
buying
size.
these
Like,
days. It's just basic
like
black
you
socks
have
that I
one
got
in
from
extra
Primark or
large and
something.
one in small.
Primark? No, I can't remember. One of these shops. I think it's
Oh,
Primark.
I love Primark. I don't know.
Yeah,
We
Primark's
all
cool
have.
actually. You can get some good stuff from there. People don't. I think no, people do realize. I think people know you can get good stuff from Primark, but I don't know. I guess it just still has that kind of image of being like the poor man's shopping place, which kind of
Really?
is. It kind of is, to be fair. But yeah, you can get some good stuff there. Still,
No.
you can get some good
Oh my
stuff.
God. Okay. So I always felt like this is the new thing, and I noticed this because a lot of content creators are using it. That thrift stores or secondhand stores, trunk stores, those are all the stores that are like, oh, you're poor, you have to go here because you can't afford new and not used. But now it's like the thing to always go there and see if you can get like a used like Chanel or a used Gucci or a used name brand or a used brand that you know is very expensive. And I'm
Mm.
like, well, duh, that's because someone died and they had to put it in the secondhand store. I'm just like, you're not gonna find a vintage Chanel purse for under like 9,000, I bet, or 5,000. But it's like, someone died and didn't have it to give off or to sell to charity or something. Yeah, you can find it there.
Mm.
Now, is it a Chinese knockoff? You don't know. That's the
Just
crazy
might
thing.
be. Nobody's
Yeah,
really checking.
H&M is considered like really cheap and fast fashion, and so that's something that like I like to fight anyways. But uh yeah, no, I just think it's like crazy because like Primark is kind of cute. It's got like your basics, and I think this is the crazy part. Just because you get like a plain t-shirt doesn't mean that you can't use that as your canvas, and
Mm.
that you can really change it up. So like if you like more distressed clothes or grunge clothes, get a plain black like get a plain black shirt and fuck it up. And there you go. Instead of
Mm.
buying from Killstar, which is really expensive, you just get like that's the one thing that I started noticing as being a mom. I'm like, oh, I would like to buy more clothes, but I don't want to spend money. And like with my kids' clothes, if they're starting to outgrow it, I think of like ways of like, okay, can I still use this for them? Can they still fit it? Or is this time to say goodbye? And so when my first son, he's got these like full body like rompers, and he's got the toe like just sticking out of like the foot part. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not good. But the rest of the romper is fine. So I just cut off the little feet, and then it's a completely fine outfit for him to wear again. So yeah,
Yeah,
you don't have
that's
to
yeah. Yeah, it's just like fix it rather than throw that out. You know,
exactly like we could fix our socks, but socks, like, come on.
socks
Like it's
are.
once you get
Mm.
one hole, it's gonna create a second hole somewhere else. It's really unless they are handmade socks, I do not recommend repairing them.
Yeah, I think socks are a bit different when it comes to fixing because of the way they're made. Typically speaking, like, I feel like the way. I mean, not. I'm talking like I know about sewing, but the basics I do know, like the way socks are made. Like, yeah, once you got a hole in it, if you tried sewing it together, it might hold a little bit, but yeah, it's still gonna just tear. And even if it does hold, it's gonna be too tight to wear, or especially if your socks. If you buy socks that fit, you get a hole in it, you sew it up, it might be a little bit too tight now, or depending on how big the hole was and things like that. And then stitches come out and come
Exactly.
loose. And so, yeah, they're a little bit different with their socks. You can't just really and I guess you can put a patch over it, but then it's just going to have a weird patch over your socks
And then it
that
feels
might
weird
not
on your
hold.
toes.
And
It
yeah,
just doesn't feel right.
so
It
yeah,
really
socks are a
does.
bit different.
Because when I was visiting my family for 2 months in the USA, my socks started getting holes, and these were expensive socks. I'm talking about like 15 like pound socks because they're Sanrio, so name brand, love cute shit. And it's just stupid because I'm like, I have had these for years and now they're dying and I'll never get them again. That's what breaks my heart when it's like I've tried to repair them constantly and I'm just like, no, it's like the knit. And if you can't fix the little loop itself, then you're not going to have the same stretch or give where your toes are or where your heel is. So, really, at that point, you have to you just like gotta let things go.
Let it go. Return it to the earth. Put it in a composter. Put it in a
You
composter.
can't compost
Return it to the earth.
And one of them is synthetic fabrics.
Oh well, damn.
No,
That's actually why I don't buy expensive socks. I remember on like I think on at least 2 occasions I bought the expensive socks. Remember back in the day, like the fashionable brand for socks was called Argyle, and there was these socks. Oh. Was it Argyle? I think it was called Argyle.
Yeah,
and there were these socks with diamonds. Yes, yeah. So the Argyle diamond socks. They were kind of like the cool fashion brand at the time with it for socks. And I remember buying a pair of them at the time. This is like 90, so they were like £8 a pair, right? And I was like, yeah, I got my Argyle socks, but they just ended up ripping like regular socks, and I was like, damn. And I think another occasion, I can't remember the brands, but I feel like I did buy expensive designer socks on a separate occasion as well, maybe Yves Saint Laurent or something like that. And the same thing, like the socks just end up ripping. I was like, man, this is dumb. Like, just buy the cheap socks from, whatever, from Peacocks. You know what I mean? If they're gonna rip, then they're gonna rip. You know what I mean? I'd rather spend £8 and get like 6 pairs of socks, right? And if one of them rips, I still got 5.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
Spend £8 on one pair of socks, it rips, and you got nothing. You know?
Actually, I take that back. I do buy like packaged socks as long as each individual pair is different.
Okay. Yeah. So
they do have those, like at my grocery store by my house. They actually had a really cute women's set, like random bin of like women's socks. And they had like polka dots, stripes, full color, and then like a mesh. And they were like really silky, woven. I was like, wow, I guess I'm buying this today because I could use these. And I just got rid of like some of my older socks, which makes me sad because like the Sanrio socks that I did buy, I bought them when I lived in LA, and it's like 8 years later. Granted, I don't wear them every day, so it's like, okay, they lasted for a long time for being like $15 socks. It's just that they're good.
Say goodbye to the socks. Oof.
Yeah, so I'll just have to go to Japan and get like, oh, what did you get on holiday? Socks. You could always use socks.
So just what you said about, repairing your son's clothes, I guess that kind of fits into some of the stuff I want to talk to you about, actually, because, I mean, I guess, being a cosplayer, you're making clothes all the time. And, of course, there's various times we've made not just cosplay clothes, but you've made other clothes as well, like, like your wedding dress and, things like that. So you know about clothing and making clothes. So I guess a big part of that is prepared you for things like, your son's clothes ripping, or, just knowing how to, use a sewing machine properly, and okay, that bit's gone, so I can repair that, I can stitch that, I can fix this, or I can extend this where I need to. Maybe as they're growing up, I could stitch that together, or I could, all various things you can do that maybe a lot of people might not know how to, or they might have to go to a tailor to do. So I guess in your case, that whole cosplay experience it's probably saves you quite a lot of money in buying kids' clothes.
Absolutely. I would say that it does save me money. Like now that I don't get to go out and shop like I used to, it definitely saves me lots of money in that essence. Like I can fix my clothes. I can tailor my clothes to fit me better. I can even tailor my husband's clothes to fit me better because he's like, no, I don't want this anymore. And he'll throw it away. I'm like, that's good denim. Okay. That's good denim. I could use that. I don't know how, but I'll figure it out. But it's just nice in the essence that with the skills from cosplaying, it's actually opened so many doors for me. Like one of the things that happened before I moved to LA, I believe it was the 2000, it wasn't 5. I think it was 2008 film Secretariat by Disney. I actually landed a production assistant role in the costume department because my mom had connections, and then she's like, oh, we need people who know how to sound like your daughter knows how to. Why don't you have her like apply for this job? I called in. I'm like, hi, I heard that you're looking for like help with like costuming. And they're like, yeah, why don't you just come in and we'll give you the job? I'm like, all right.
Cool.
And then when I actually proved myself, they were like, oh my God, we're going to keep you on till the end of the filming. So it was really nice. It's actually credited on IMDb. So you can totally see that I was a costume wardrobe assistant, like production assistant. And so that's kind of what made me realize, hey, I can kind of use this to do more things. And then instead I like being in front of the camera. But yeah, it definitely has opened lots of doors. Lots of things happened for me. And I feel like I don't want to say I pioneered a lot for cosplaying, but I did enough for being who I am and not like so hardcore into it, quote unquote, if that makes any sense. I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think so. I think I get what you mean. I mean, you have done a lot. I mean, we mentioned before that, I think before we start recording, like, you've been doing this since, well, in 2005, right? It's,
Yes.
yeah, it's been a while. You've been doing, I mean, that's a long time to be doing anything, like, 19 years or nearly 20, right? So,
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
So yeah, there's a lot in there, and in that time, I know you've done, competitions that you've won. I don't know about the production, so that's new to me. But so yeah, you've done that as well.
Yeah,
You've traveled the world with it.
Yeah, I was actually on a cosplay reality competition show for 3 seasons. And they were like individual episodes were different contestants. So I always had like my own episode. And I got really close to winning the first season. I don't want to say really close, but they kept messing with the system first season. So it was kind of like their trial by fire. They retweaked it for season 2. They got a little bit more budget. And so I won my episode on season 2. Spoiler alert, but I don't think you know where to find it. So it's okay. And then season 3, they refined it yet again. And I believe they found a different, network. So that's why the system kind of kept changing. And then they tried to have a 4th season, and the 4th season got canceled. So that didn't happen. But it was exciting. I've done reality TV in multiple different ways. And sometimes because of cosplay, sometimes not because of cosplay. They like me. Well, they did.
Of course.
So, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I do miss it. And because of that show that I was on, I was not able, I was ineligible for other cosplay competition shows just because of the overlap. That was a little unfortunate. But I did audition for the show Heroes of Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi Channel's Heroes of Cosplay. And that one, it just didn't seem right fit for me. And they're like, oh, yeah, we like you, but I just think there could have been something better. I think I was just too green as well with production and being in front of camera. And they wanted a little bit more seasoned veterans for that. So it was a little disappointing. I didn't get on that one, but oh well.
Well, you can't win them all.
Yeah. But I still got on reality competition shows. And then there was another show that I did get to audition for, but they told me I couldn't be on it because of the other show. That was Sci-Fi's Cosplay Melee. And they're like, oh, well, because you signed on with that show, we can't sign you. I'm like, shit.
Oh, so close.
Yeah, it sucks because there's 2 shows on Sci-Fi where they wanted to hire me, but because I already signed to do the other show, I couldn't do it. But it's good that I didn't do the other shows from Heroes of Cosplay would have been better. But the other show, Cosplay Melee, that's a show where it's like exposure, and if you win your episode, you get the money. But if you're just on the episode itself, you do not make any money. So that's part of the contract.
All right, so you could have been there potentially. I guess it's one of these things where, like you say, exposure. So maybe if you don't win, but if you're on the show, maybe somebody sees you and they like you, and they might pick up from there. But I guess that's the risk that like those music competitions where the winner gets a contract,
like
everyone else. Yeah, everyone else technically doesn't get anything, but maybe some other producers like, oh, I like that guy who finished 3rd, and they might contact them. But then, you don't know if that's going to happen or not. And there's certainly no guarantee, and it's all risks. Well, everything's a risk, but some risks are bigger than others, I guess.
I was paid each time, so that was a lot easier for me in that essence. To that, and that's why I chose that. So Here's a Cosplay. I was too green for the camera. I had just moved to LA, so that was that was just not good timing for me. It was cool that I got to audition and went to like the producer's place and gave them what I could. It's just unfortunate that it didn't pan out, but it's just like some of the people that were on that show didn't even have their cosplay career take off from that. A lot of the women did, but the other people, not so much. So it's like, no, we don't care. But they work hard. I know the women like worked really hard for their stuff. So yeah.
Speaking of that, actually, because as I guess a casual outsider looking in, it does seem cosplaying is an industry where women excel far more than men do. Would you say that's true, or is that just me being ignorant and not knowing where the men are because I'm probably not looking them up anyway?
Like, it is first and foremost very women ahead of the curve, I would say. There's only like a few cosplay males that I know get flown out compared to women. Like, it's just so different in that essence. And I think that's because like they really are the driving creative force behind it. I'm not saying men aren't, but there's like Mal Cosplay who's in Germany. There's Zabartis, who is here in Denmark. There is, what is his name? Karen Cosplay. I believe he's Italian or Spanish, one of the two. And those are the main three that I can think of when you say like male cosplayer. I know that there's others that have like big followings, especially like in Asia or in the USA, but do they come to mind like those three, or not really? And I think it's more because of the lines of like booth babes are kind of what they want. And the general attendee is just like, oh, I don't want to take a picture next to like this tall, hot guy. Like, usually what sells is kind of like, oh, look at this cute girl. Oh, yay. Like, yay, it's so cool. Oh, I play as this character. And there's not a lot of people who are like perfect looking as like the big buff dude. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, you can easily get a like super pretty chick or like super cute chick to like fulfill the role, because that's kind of like the thing. Versus like, oh, I need a guy that looks exactly like this person to stand there at a booth and do this. Actually, I can think of one American cosplayer. That's because he's my friend. And that's Junkers Cosplay, or Johnny Junkers. And he gets hired a lot to do like Capcom and League of Legends kind of content and PUBG, which is like, wow, that's really cool. I only know this because he's my friend. Like, there's another one out there that's not my friend. I don't know him right now.
Okay, and so there are a few dudes at least, though.
There are dudes in the USA. I know for a fact. But do I know them? Can I name them like off the top of my head because they are like known for cosplay and content creation? No, I cannot answer that. And partially, I think that's because I'm not in the circuit in the USA anymore. So I'm like ostracized because of land region. Like, I could fly back, but now I have 2 kids and dogs, and
yeah, it makes it a bit difficult
to manage. So it's a little harder. Am I saying they exist? No, it's mainly women, because like I think of like Yaya Han, Vampy Bit Me, or Riddle, and Jessica Negri are like some of the top people that people will pay to see them, or like at least be at the same convention to be with them. So it's like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, Jessica Negri, to my mind, is probably the most popular one. I mean, I would say personally, I mean, I know of her, like I know of her name being mentioned just because, you know, other people mention it. It's not somebody who I necessarily know, like, you know what I mean? But yeah. The fact that I've heard her name from other places, I'm assuming she's probably amongst the most popular, if not the most popular cosplayer.
Yeah, and that's also because she sells a lot of her personality and her skin. And like part of her income is definitely because of like sexiness. And that's what she did. She was one of the ones who pioneered like sexy cosplays. And it's okay to like turn a bra into armor, or make it into like, oh, this is a sexy cosplay. Look at me being sexy. And it garners lots of attention. So you should do it too, kind of thing. And she said that before. like I want to like pioneer like people being okay to have sexier cosplays, because it was used to be kind of frowned upon, and especially having your own original designs. So like she used to have very just accurate as fuck, like from the screen to her body, accurate cosplays. And it didn't garner as much attention as when she made her own custom specialized ideation of a cosplay.
Okay.
So some of them being like Princess Mononoke San. She made a sexier version of that, and it looks really freaking cool. And then she has like an armor version of Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro. And she makes these. And I imagine she gets some help here and there. And she credits people. So I'm like, okay, that's good. But, you know, it's not just, oh, it's exactly this character. And that's it. And then she like makes the bikini version of it.
Okay, was she the first to do that sort of thing in terms of like, because I've seen people do cosplays where, they'll take a character, but it be like a version of that character, like, I don't know, Mario, but he's older. I'm trying to pull stuff up, but you know what I mean? I've seen people do things like that, but was she the first to do that kind of thing? Just take a character and be like, oh, this is, I guess in her case, a sexy version of the character, but just like a different version of that.
So I would say yes, and she like monopolized it. Not monopolized, but she like made it so that you can make money off of it. Because back in the earlier 2000s, when cosplay was still kind of like hitting social media in that essence, it was so frowned upon to sell prints of yourself in cosplay. And a lot of people were like, no, don't do that. No, oh my God, why would you do that? God, you're selling out. Oh my God. Like, that's not even your character. And for the longest time, the community fought against it, but people were still buying it. So we were saying one thing, and then another thing happened, and that kind of creation of like, hey, we can make money in the West by selling pictures, and in Japan, it's kind of normalized to like be a cosplayer, taking pictures and selling your pictures in like a photo album. Not a photo album, but like a book, like a coffee table book kind of thing. And that slowly reached the way of the West in the USA. So there are some people out there that are like, oh yeah, here's a coffee book of like this character or these designs that I've created. And it's really changed a lot of the scene. I'm just like, look, that'd be cool, but I don't want to be the one getting all the slack and hate for starting something like that, because that's a lot of stress. So no.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would say yes. So she was like one of the first ones who definitely did that, along with Yaya.
Okay. So with yourself then, I mean, like, you've been doing this for, nearly 20 years, and, like you've done competition, you've done a lot of things. At this point in your cosplay career, where do you see yourself? Like, do you see yourself as somebody who, like, say, still wants to compete with all the newcomers coming up and things like that? Or do you see yourself more as like a mentor or a mentor person?
Figure.
Yeah, like a mentor figure, like, trying to give help and advice and, stuff like that. Or maybe a little bit of both. Like, how do you see yourself at this point in your cosplay journey?
Personally, I like the idea. Okay, so this is where it came from. I was watching Netflix, Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and like it's called like America's Sweethearts, and I was like, why aren't cosplayers considered sweethearts? Why can't there be sweethearts and like be like, oh, there's a cosplay sweetheart? And I'm like, I'd like to be a cosplay sweetheart. I think I would love to coin that term, instead of like, oh, I'm a brand ambassador to like this brand, and so you should buy this sewing machine or use this like tool. I'm like, but why can't I just be a cosplay sweetheart? Like, why can't I just be an advocate for cosplay, period, and like help people? So I would love to be a mentor, and I would love to help like pursue telling people like how to get better. Do I want to compete? I would love to compete, but I think it has to be worth it, because going into cosplay competitions really freaking sucks. So not only do you need to buy your badge, you need to stay there and then like wait all day for judging and then going on stage and doing your little skit. And then you had to wait afterwards for, obviously for the reward or awards. And if you win an award. So it's like you lose like technically a whole weekend just to see if you get this little piece of paper for validation. Now, with these days and age, with like competitions, people have rotating shit and like fog and electricity, moving wings. And I'm just like, dude, I don't have time to do that as a mom to be able to do like some crazy shit like that. I would like to. But another thing, me being an American living in Denmark, I might not be able to qualify as the Danish representative because I do not have a like European Union Denmark passport. So I can't really represent and compete. So it's a little discouraging in that essence. So it's like my last award was in 2014, I believe. So it's long. It's been almost 10 years since I have competed truthfully. Like I've used builds from YouTube to compete with, but I'm like, but this isn't like my best quality. This isn't something that I would sit down for months and like hone in and make sure every single meticulous detail is perfect. Now it's like, okay, can I get this out for someone else to understand how to build? And if they're like a complete noob, can they understand it and be okay with it? As opposed to, is this a master level craftsmanship that I can produce? And that's something that's like really heartbreaking because I do have ideas for like potential skits or like outfits that I would like to be judged. But I'm just like, who are these people to judge me? Like, who are they? Like, do you have more followers than me? Okay, I can understand that. Do you have like sewing credentials? Do you have like, I don't know, like, do you have educational credentials to prove that you are better than me and you can judge me for my work and then say if it's better than this person over here? Because that's one thing that will automatically rub me the wrong way is like, who is this person that is judging me? Are they a school teacher with like that knows how to sew? I'll be okay with that. But if you are a brand new cosplayer that has not put in your like time and effort, and you're telling me like my costume is not that good and you buy your costumes, no, that is an absolute, I do not agree with that.
Is
Like
that what
if you
competitions are
have
like now? Oh, sorry.
What's that?
Is that what competitions are like now, where they just have people who don't necessarily know about cosplay making the judgments?
Sometimes newer conventions will just grab someone that they know that is their friend that like potentially knows how to write sketch comedy for YouTube or something, or they get a cosplayer who has a high following, but they don't make their costumes. And let's say that they're good at makeup. And that's the problem. Cosplaying has multiple skill levels. You can have a wig maker, and you can have someone who sews, and you can have an armor maker, you can have a makeup artist, and then you can have a performance artist. You can even have someone that's great at electronics now, because that's like something. And then there's also like mold casting and like fabrication. Like if you need a prosthetic, there are people out there who are like, oh yeah, I want to be a clicker from The Last of Us. Watch me make a mold of my face and pour like resin. And there's so many layers to cosplaying now compared to back when I was competing. So it's just like, hey, you need to have an entire encyclopedia of how to DIY everything and know how to fix your kitchen sink to be able to compete at this point. And so that's why I'm like, unless I know your judges are good and diverse, let's just say, I don't want to compete. So yeah, I don't mind if you buy your costumes, but show me why, or explain why in like the post of like, oh, this is our judge, look how cool they are. Like, why are they qualified to be a judge, or is this just someone filling in? Because at that point, just be like, okay, yeah, like come compete, and it's going to be crowd favorite. Which, if it's a crowd favorite thing, that's bullshit. Like, that's just because not everyone's going to know your character. That's crappy. There's a system at a small event here in Denmark where they're like, okay, each cosplayer is handed a number, and people have to vote for that number. And I think that's fair because that's up to the crowd and how many people come in. So it's not up to just a standard jury.
Yeah.
And it is legitimately a crowd favorite, and it's a small prize. It's not like, oh, here's best in show. So there's my mini rant of, I would like to compete, but I worry about who your judges are, because I am also an international cosplayer with high awards. Like, they're not recent awards, but hey, you can't take away the fact that I have put due diligence in winning at such high level competitions.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's just kind of thinking about, when I used to do sort of poetry, and then you go into sort of poetry competitions, and I remember kind of similar to that. There's a point where you look at it like, I'm putting my heart and soul into these pieces that I'm writing and performing, and then you're being judged by, somebody who they might just grabbed out the crowd, you know what I mean, or something like that. And
Exactly.
it's kind of disheartening, because on one hand it's like, and to be fair, I feel like even if you are being judged by people who know what they're doing and people who know what they're saying, it makes that kind of easier to take. But at the same time, it's also like, this is my art, and can you really put any kind of judgment on art? So I feel like, I mean, for me anyway, I feel like there's like different kind of facets to it, as to being in competitions and stuff like that. But yeah, certainly when the judges are people who don't know much about the thing that they're judging, like you say, maybe they're just popular, or whatever, maybe, or and if it's crowd favorites, and it's crowd favorites, it is what it is. But then it doesn't really mean anything, because it's like, people like this guy because they heard of him, or I'm not saying because he's good, they just know who he is, or they never heard of you before, and they saw that guy, or he's got friends over there, and it's like, oh, that kind of thing.
Yeah, he's like, that is something huge within the cosplay scene too, and it's like, oh, this, like, a lot of people like to witch hunt after, like, they might have lost, quote unquote, and they're like, oh, well, the person who won best in show is friends with the judge, and I bet they swayed their decision. It's like, okay, first off, people, you do not know what the costume looks like up close and personal. And with a lot of the newer style of judging, they will literally get up and touch your costume, and this is part of the consent form when you sign up. So you have to be okay with this, because we need to inspect. I used to judge, so I said we. So judges need to inspect, how good are your seams? Did you finish your seams? Did you finish your armor? Like, what's the inside of your armor look like? How good is your paint job? Did you fuck up in some way? Like a lot of masterclass kind of craftsmanship will have perfect seams, regardless if it's armor or if it's sewing, like fabric. Or like, how good is your wig? Is it sloppy? Is there like glue strings hanging off? Or can you see the glue seeping out of your like armor where you attach it? How do you attach it? Like, it's not because we think you bought it. No, if it's a craftsmanship competition, we have to see how beautiful or perfectly executed you did to your craft. So if you are trying to buy a mouse, okay, this is not going to help. If you are trying to buy a water bottle, you don't want to see leftover plastic spilling out from the top, and then when you drink it, you get extra plastic cutting your mouth. Like, no, it's a quality assurance check of like, how are you representing your skills? And I think a lot of people misunderstand that, and they're like, oh, well, this person had armor and that person only had fabric. I don't understand. It's like, there are varying degrees of why fabric is, if not harder than foam crafting or armor crafting. I'm not saying that it's not good, but armor crafting only has like so many layers, versus fabric, you have more layers than that. So it really just depends. But I'm just saying, like.
But yeah, I mean, that's the difference between someone who knows what they're talking about and somebody who, like, if I was judging it, I'd be like, well, that looks all right, But to compared to somebody who actually says, okay, well, how is the seams? What's the quality? Like, see, and that's the thing when you're doing this competition. If you're being judged by somebody who doesn't know what to look for, and not to say, of course, what you like is an important, is always going to be important aspects of it, because you like what you like, you don't like what you don't like. Opinions matter as well, of course. But in terms of competition and being fair in a competition and making sure that when you're judging people, you're not just going purely off a personal opinion that you can back up what you're saying, yeah, you need to know the difference between, I don't know, a cross stitch and a Jimmy Jagger stitch.
I'm just saying, like you, if someone hand sewed, okay, imagine this. Imagine someone hand sewed and the seam is all like this versus like, so like that, maybe. Let's say their seams look like a Z, like a Z. And then someone else hand sewed as well, but their seams are all straight. Who are you going to vote for? Obviously this person, but the crowd is not going to know that, like, this person might have like more fabric on them, and then this person who has like less fabric and like more perfect seams, like, you're not gonna know. You're not there. Backseat like judges are not gonna know. So like that's the sad part. You can only go so much with just like being in the crowd, and it's just like you have to just rely on what the judges being fair at that point, because you're not in the hot seat judging and spending your entire weekend making sure that the competition is fair. One, that is the project court, like that is the events coordinator's job to pick fair judges, and if they pick judges that are not fair the day of when judging, then obviously make it known that that judge fucking sucks.
Indeed.
Anyways, so yeah, there's the rant on backseat judging. Like, yeah, your friend might have been in the competition, but that doesn't mean they're the best. And it's like, you can have your heart and soul into your costume, but just remember you're showcasing it. Me, no, I'm a jerk. I'm like, I'm trying to win, and if I suck, oh god, I suck. So, you know, someone's might be better than you, and that's just the mentality you had to go in with.
So now, in your life, you know, you've been cosplaying for a while. You know, you're a mother now, but you're still cosplaying, still making outfits, still making dresses. You know, still putting out YouTube content. You know, you've been a mother for over a year now. Recently, with the second child, and even longer than that, you've been a doggy mother for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, that's that right? Dog? Oh, you know
Yeah.
what? Maybe
I've
that's
had dogs. I'm
yeah.
allergic to cats.
Okay, cool. Doggy mother. I thought I said something and maybe meant something rude or something. Mother, you know, you have dogs, is what I'm trying to say.
I am not a dominatrix. There you go.
You have dogs.
I
Let
do
me
not
be clear on
have
what I'm
a
saying.
pet.
You've had dogs for a while, but yeah, there's a lot going on, and being married as well, and home life, and of course, you know, just, you know, having a life for yourself. So for you, how do you balance everything, like with motherhood, with, you know, marriage life, with looking after your house, looking after your pets, and just not going crazy in the whole thing? Like, do you have a routine, or do you just, like, I don't know, throw it in the air, see what sticks?
Oh god. I don't have like a set routine. Luckily, my son is actually old enough to go to daycare, and it's good for him to go to daycare so he'll learn to speak Danish. So from Monday to Friday, I have him in daycare, and then it gives me a chance to work on my content, or now with my little son, I can take care of him, and then when he's asleep, I can take care of the dogs. I try to prioritize quickly finishing a task as much as possible, simultaneously starting another task. So it's like multitasking at its finest and optimizing for the most potential output. So if one of my sons is like hungry, I will feed him and then sit him down. So the older one, if I can get him situated, then I can work on the second one. And then once both of them are situated, I can take out the dogs, or I can start their bath, or like throw the wash into the laundry machine. And then as long as something else can be automated, it's fine. When all shit hits the fan is like if both my sons need something simultaneously. And it's just like, it's easier for me to calm the first son, like my oldest, because he's about to be 2 years old. And then afterwards, it's like, then I can calm down my second son. And so it's kind of like you have to balance it that way. When I do get a moment to craft, if any, I make sure to try to just record it as much as possible and then upload it. Before my newborn came out, I made sure this year to film as many topics as possible and put them in short form for my YouTube channel. And so my YouTube channel is actually, it has almost all the content I want until next year. So even if I don't get new content while raising my newborn, it's already made. Like I have footage until January for next year. A lot of the new content that I am producing is on TikTok because I didn't really plan on doing TikTok, but I'm just like, you know what? I figured why not try? And even if it's just random sporadic stuff, I'm getting actually a lot of views and more views than YouTube right now. And that's something that's really encouraging, despite it not being like my content. So I actually found a video on how to maximize your content production. And it's like pick a topic and there's like Google questions, and then look at each individual question under Google questions that they have. And there's your topics. And if you have a problem figuring out a topic underneath that topic, choose a subtopic of your main topic. So then you have like this branch out. So I have like 3 spreadsheets full of like topics. I have a whole section for my own business. And I have lots of forms of passive income now. So it's just like, okay, what can I get done while the baby's asleep on me and while my other son is at daycare? I also currently have my mother-in-law visiting until like for 20 days and then she leaves. And I'm like, oh shit. So then shit's going to really hit the fan. But we'll see how that works. Like, we'll see how it works. We'll go from there and call it a moment. But I get my exercise by running my dogs. Oh no, it's so sad. Okay, so today, like, I don't know when anyone's watching this, but currently my girl dog, her name is Peach. She actually needs surgery because she hurt herself and her ligament is torn in her leg. And they're like, okay, well, if you want her to be able to run again normally and without pain, you have to give her surgery. I'm like, fuck. So there's that. I actually set up a, what is it? I set up a like truck store, like a consignment store booth. And I'm selling off a lot of old clothes and creations that I have. And I'm actually already had a few sales. So I'm like, okay, cool. So if I have old clothes that I made that I don't wear or old things that I've made and I don't want, you know, that's pretty quick passive income for me just to put a tag and throw it in the shop. And I have that. I've actually started an Etsy shop on the side since my baby's there. And that's also because like, it's very quick and easy for me to test a few things.
Is that
especially
jewelry and stuff? And... Oh wait, no, it was like Bunny Over the Moon. Was that right?
That's right.
Oh yeah, Bunny Over the Moon. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm not going to do physical products only because that takes me time to be able to send out. So it's like, no, I can't do that. No. And I have to be able to physically make it. So it's really just about compartmentalizing. What do I have to prioritize today? What is in the schedule? What does my husband have to do? Like currently it is hard for my husband and I to have time together because he's got his job. And, you know, if we get sick, we can't really spend time. So it's just really difficult for us to have time together. But also I need my time just to be myself and he needs his time. So at night, it's just like, I got to go play video games. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to sleep. So we don't get a lot of time together, but we know that it's a short period until like our kids grow up. Then all of us can spend time together in a sense of like, let's go to Legoland. No, actually, we do go to Legoland with both the boys. So the only people that don't get to go are the dogs.
Yeah, and that's tough, I think, with a lot of parents, like, you know, when they're having kids and trying to find time to spend time with just each other. You know, that's the tough part because, like I say, you're working, he's working, and you know, maybe by the time he's getting home, like you know, you know, you're both tired, or you know, you're trying to still got stuff to do. So the time, it's kind of like, you know, here's your time, here's his time. It's just kind of just passing, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's I guess that's the I don't know, is that sacrifice? Would that be the right word to use? Like in terms of like out of everything that you need to do, is that the bit that gets missed? That time with your husband. Yeah.
I would say so. I think there are things you have to give up in order to have something else. So it's kind of like that gamer syndrome of, oh, I really want to play games, but I need to sleep so I can wake up early to go to that meeting tomorrow. Would I rather sacrifice eating and sleeping to play this game? And so then I'm not fresh for work. So it's the same thing, Our priorities are different, but it's like video games are always going to be there. Like, unfortunately, with Netflix, they love to say, "Oh, leaving soon. Last day to watch is like August 3rd." It's like, all right, Netflix, shut up. But I think it's shitty too, because like we can't necessarily just buy out the movie that we want anymore. Like it's very difficult.
Yeah. I mean,
like
well,
physical media.
Yeah, I mean, you can, I guess, but you can buy stuff from Amazon. Amazon do sell physical media. Well, at least in the UK, they don't. I don't know about Denmark, but they do sell it. But yeah, it's kind of a thing, like because it's so convenient to stream stuff now. Like buying physical media just seems almost alien at this point. Like I think the last time I bought any kind of physical like DVDs or anything was probably last year actually. But then before that was maybe years prior. So yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing.
It's also really crazy in that essence because with so many website streaming services starting to shut down, you lose your rights to that media too. So like imagine you bought something physical, like a digital product. You only have the license to be able to stream it. You don't own it.
Yeah.
So you don't actually get the chance to get it back. So you can't download it. And it's like, that's stupid. Like, what's the point of that? Might as well just have bought it from the store.
Yeah, and I feel that is a problem. Like, if a shop closed down, or if an online store closed down, for example, and you have stuff that you bought, you should be able to download it. At the very least, you should be able to download it. But yeah, apparently you can't even do that in some cases. But I mean, I have bought stuff from Amazon. I think Amazon, to be fair, probably going to be around a while. But my rule about buying movies on Amazon is, one, I don't spend a lot of money on it. Like, I wait till they're dirt cheap before I even consider buying it. Even the ones I really want to watch, that's like maximum £8, maximum. And that's only if I really, really want it. Like, if I really want it, like if it's like Spider-Man or something, maximum £8. Other than that...
Oh, Spider-Man, the ones you'll splurge on, it'll be £9.
Yeah. Like, other than that, I'm not spending more than maybe £3, maybe £4 on a movie if I'm going through Amazon, just because like it's that whole thing. Like if it closes down, I mean, I know it's unlikely with Amazon, or seemingly unlikely, but it can still happen. If Amazon closes down, I know that I haven't lost a lot of money in the process. You know what I mean? Like I haven't spent £20 on that, £15 on this, because some of them can get quite expensive. So like that's my rule about buying buying movies.
I think that would be so dangerous at that point, because like if you're buying it off of Amazon and eventually like what if Amazon servers just blow up and they can't recover anything? Like then you're out like the entire
It's all gone. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's all
I have
gone.
to tell you something.
Okay.
I had this like old woman kind of like epiphany, and I'm calling it old woman because like eventually my kids are gonna grow up and then I'm like too old to cosplay and my hands might have arthritis. I'll be like, ah!
Never too old.
Anyway.
Come on, never too old.
Yeah. No. When I'm like 70,
Yeah,
like
if cosplay as the granny from Princess Mother. No, House Moving Castle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the only cosplay I can do. Got it. So, so I was thinking, how cool would it be to own a small video game cafe library? So you can go get like a nice spot of tea and like crumpets and tea sandwiches, but then you can also rent like classic like PlayStation 2, because that's retro now, as opposed to like an Atari game system, or you can rent like a Steam Deck. And I'm just like, I bet kids these days won't even know what a Steam Deck is. I don't even have one, but I would like one. Anyways, what I'm saying is like that's like a dream of mine now when I'm retired, because I don't want it now. Like right now, who I am right now. Like that is not my goal. I'm talking about my kids at 40. I am too old and to do anything else. I'm senile. I just want to see people playing video games because like I might be too old and be like, I can't mash the B button fast enough, you know? So like I think it would be really cool to have that as like a retirement project and keep you going, because I feel like people die faster when they have nothing to live for. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, my
I
kids
think
are
that's
all
true.
grown up, I don't like, you know, but it's just like I don't think I can, we'll see, like keep crafting or something like that. Or maybe I would keep crafting and I'll be like, look at this magic box, like, you know, Magic the Gathering. And then people can have like tea and play Magic the Gathering. Or they could have like the newest version of Red Bull and play Magic the Gathering or Pokemon cards, you know? And I think that would be just so interesting to have, to like give back into like the nerdy community. Because I would say like, oh man, I want to collect video games. I would love to collect video games, but there's too many video games to collect. And then what happens when you have like just tons and tons of video games? What do you do? I
Yeah,
don't
just
know.
kind of sit there. Good, yeah.
Yeah, they sit and collect
Turn your house
dust.
into a museum.
Yeah, and so at that point, it's like, well, why don't you own a cafe? And then, like, if it generates enough money, I would probably want to create it to be like under the government as like a free library, and then have someone like maintenance it kind of thing. Because I think that would be so cool. I can't believe this. Earlier this year, I heard someone say, "Oh man, is that a PlayStation 2? I've never seen one in real life." Dude, I never even held a PlayStation controller, like PlayStation 2 controller in my life. I was like, oh my
These really
fucking
young kids, huh? PlayStation 2
youngins.
was 2000 something? Yeah, about 2000, right?
Yeah, it was the
1999
2000.
maybe? Late 90s, early
Yeah,
2000s?
I would
So
say
yeah, I
97
mean,
to early 2000s.
and
Because
PlayStation
I
3,
remember PS3 coming out before I moved to LA.
PlayStation 3 would have been around 2005, I think. So yeah, if you are, yeah, you could be about 20 years old
Mm-hmm.
and never know what, not really know what a play. I mean, maybe you've heard of it, like these kids, you've heard of it. So you're an adult at 20. You've heard of it, but it's like those tales of old. You know,
I know,
I've heard
right?
the
Like,
old
oh my
folks
god,
talk
I
about
watched
this
it.
ancient PlayStation 2, and
Right?
apparently
Wasn't that
you play
crazy?
Tekken on it in the
No,
olden
you had the
days.
old IBM.
Oof,
In the IBM, you played Oregon Trail
man.
on a floppy disk. My fucking god, am I old? I am out of time.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that is a fever dream in the future after I go to every single Disneyland park.
I think that's a good idea, actually. I mean, there's a place in London called Loading Bar, which I've never been to, but they do it's like a I guess they call it a barcade where you have arcades and like a bar. I've never been to it because for a few reasons. One is that it's kind of far from me, so it's not easy to get to.
Okay.
And I would maybe try and make a day to go to it, but and also I don't think it's the type of place I can go regular, even if I did live near it. Because for one thing, I don't drink, so it'd be kind of or I'll be just there in the arcades. But I guess that I'm sure they won't mind if I'm just there for the arcades. But I also feel
No.
like if I wanted to get something, there's not really a whole lot of choice for me outside of maybe have an orange juice or something, and I was that one
Yeah,
weird
just
guy
have
that gets the orange juice, and so like, but yeah, cafe because I like coffee, so I could happily sit in a cafe with a coffee and play video games. That sounds something like that's me. So yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea a lot.
right?
You should definitely do that.
I would love it to be
Definitely.
all ages friendly, because like gaming is supposed to be all ages friendly. Like I know that there's ratings board. I get that. That was part of my job back in the day. But it's just like, yeah, there's someone managing the library though. It's like you have to be able to give someone like the library and be like, oh, if you want to try something new, here's something that we got. Like just pull something random off the shelf. I'm not saying everyone has to play each individual game, but sometimes that's what you got to do. Like I started trying to play Nino Kuni. That was not a fun game. That's not a fun game. Like I've tried, I kept going, and I'm like, this is so tooth pulling, painful to play right now. And it's like my sister tried it. I'm like, oh, I heard Ni no Kuni's good. And then when I tried it, I'm like, this is not fun. Like, how did this take off in Japan? Because this is not a fun game. And so it's just like sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. It's okay. So I mean, that one's supposed to be like an all-around ages game. But oh my god, am I excited! There's going to be a new Hello Kitty game on Switch, just like Animal Crossing. I cannot wait. I am going to buy that game. I don't care if I get milk projectile vomit, diarrhea, pee on my Switch. I need the Hello Kitty game.
Just get like a plastic thing that you could put the Switch controller in, you know.
Condom?
I was thinking of a bag, but yeah, I guess if you get a big enough condom, then why not?
No, I'm saying like a condom to wrap it. Like I'm not calling the actual like silicone cover a condom, but you know, it's just a generic term of a.
I mean, I don't know how big your man is, but you know, if they make him that big, if it fits, it fits. Okay.
All I'm saying is a plastic covering for a object that needs covering. I'm calling it a condom.
Okay, that's what we're calling it. That's what we're calling it. I think Celeste just let us know that her man is blessed.
Oh, I have 2 kids. Is that too much? Did I say something wrong? Where's my parent?
You got 2 kids, so he's okay. You do something right. You're doing something right.
I did something right, dude. That sucked. Can I tell you what happened when I had to like give birth to my second son? Like they had to pop me. Like they popped my baby sack, like the amniotic sack, and so that sucked because they're like, oh. You're actually growing too big right now and you have too much fluid. It's not the baby that's growing. It's just the placenta itself. So the sac is growing too much with too much fluid. So they popped me and they're like, there's a chance we might have to do an emergency C-section. I am so scared now. I am terrified. I'm like, Mom, they're gonna have to pop me and I might need an emergency C-section. I'm so scared. Dude, that shit's scary. Like, I don't know if you ever heard something like, oh, man, you got to take the biggest shit in your life. Otherwise, we got to take your colon out, like, immediately. Like, no one tells you something like that. That's not a normal thing. It's like, oh, hey, man, how you doing? Man, I passed the biggest shit the other day. Man, you got to go in. You might have colon cancer. Like, I'm trying to make, like, the perfect analogy for other people to understand this. And, you know, it was just terrifying. So it's like they popped my sack and then everything went just fine. Did not need an emergency C-section. Good. And then they're like, okay, that's fine. But I didn't get the painkillers this time. And that was not by choice. It was so painful. God bless any woman that can go through it and not have any pain. Like, no, wait. God bless any woman that has pain during childbirth because that shit fucking sucks. I would want my worst enemy to feel childbirth multiple times at the pain level that I had. And that's because I didn't have my fucking epidural. Like, that really sucked, okay? Like, I was so sad. I was screaming and, like, I was saying, ow. And the midwife was all like, Marissa, you have to remember to breathe. He, hoo. He, hoo. Like it's but you know, if I don't get my blood pressure down because I'm getting stressed out, that could actually harm both of us more and like exacerbate my heart, and that could hurt the baby. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to calm down, but I'm really fucking pissed off and a lot of pain. And so her helper, who is also like a midwife assistant, she's like, good job. You're doing good. Good job. I'm like, oh my God, speak Spanish to me. You're fucking sucking. Like, I was so ornery that day. I was hungry. I was in so much pain. And they're like, oh, use the laughing gas. I have never felt like I was trying to be suffocated in front of people in my entire life. I'm like the mask that they put on, I get it. Like the Hollywood thing where they're like rolling you down the stretcher with the mask and you're like, oh, yeah. Absolutely not a fun experience to have a mask on. I'm like, yep. My lungs are fine. I don't ever want to try to use laughing gas again in my life.
Eesh.
No. And the laughing gas did not help me. It did not help me. I was in so much pain. So, yeah, natural birth, 100%. Couldn't get the laughing gas in time. Oh my God. So, the reason why I couldn't get the epidural was because there was a traumatic incident and it was all hands on deck, I think, in the emergency room. We don't know what happened. They didn't tell us what happened because, confidential patient stuff. So they didn't get to tell us, but they said everyone in the hospital had to be all hands on deck. And I'm like, oh my God, it better have been a fucking bus that flipped and kids are dying. Like, I need to know who could not come to the room to give me the fucking epidural. Either way, I was only in labor for like 2 hours. And like the last 10 minutes of it was just pushing out my son. So even if I was to get the epidural, it wouldn't have kicked in as quickly as it needed to. So my birth was very fast, but it was very painful. And so after I had given birth, in comes the anesthesiologist like, hey, you ready for the epidural now? I'm like, no, the kid's out.
A little bit too late. A little bit too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
where were you 5 hours ago? Like,
exactly. So they were there after they ruptured my amniotic sac. Is that a fucking mosquito? I'll murder you. It's not. It's a dragonfly. It's fine. Anyways, mosquitoes suck. This year,
literally.
I've gotten over 25 mosquito bites, and I'm still healing from this one on my hand right here. It's gone. There was one right here. There was like one here. There was one right here on this finger because I put the blanket all on me. So it went so hard on my hands. How do you have mosquito bites on your hands? It sucks, but it can happen. I hate that. I am naturally more attracted to attracted for mosquitoes. So mosquitoes love the shit out of my blood.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you got like the premium blood. Maybe you got like, that grade A,
Grade
Colombian.
A premium lawful chaos blood. I believe in rules.
Unicorn blood.
Okay. Yes. Perfect.
So after giving birth, then, like without the epidural, using pain, did you feel like? I mean, of course, in the moment it's painful and everything else, but once it's done, did you feel like that's an overall better option, or did you feel like actually no, I'm never doing this again? Like this, how did you feel about the whole kind of childbirth without without that?
The painkillers?
Yeah. So you're in pain, but once you've given birth, did you feel like, oh, this is actually better, or did you feel like, no, this is definitely not better? Well, once the pain is out.
No, never. Me being at the age that I'm at, we are done. We are not having more kids. Not only is it economically hard, it is hard on my body. Like, a lot of people don't understand the complications going from like a tiny size like 2 to like a size 10. And it's really hard on a woman's body because, like, yeah, I have stretch marks from it, and they're new stretch marks. So my first stretch marks healed, but now I had new ones because the baby's in a different position. Like, the placenta grows differently, so does the sac, and it grew more. So my stretch marks are in different spots, and it's like, yeah, I don't want any more of that. It really sucked in the essence that because I had so much extra fluid, it was stretching me even harder, and it was so hard to walk around with that. So no, I don't want more kids. It is not easier. It does not get easier. It's like, okay, the first time really sucked because your body is like, oh my God, what do I do? It's like going to school for your first time. It's like, I don't know where to go. I don't know who my teacher is. I have a schedule. That's all I have. But I don't know the layout of this place. I don't even know if I can buy lunch here, that kind of thing. So then when you go back afterwards, so now your second day of school, you're just like, oh, I think I know how to do this. And then you can still have hiccups because apparently the baby can miss the exit and then hit your hips. And that was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, it's like a funnel. Like, my vagina is a funnel pushing out a human. And instead, his head will go like this. Oh, like a arcade machine, a pinball.
Pinball.
Yeah.
Oh.
As like pinpoint cushion.
Oof.
I was like, it's not a pin cushion. But, you know, it went ding and ding and
Ding,
ding. I
ding.
was like,
Oof.
it's hurting my head.
High score.
I'm like, you are doing it wrong. You are not a gamer yet. Get out. Get out.
Well, you know.
Like, absolutely not. Do not recommend. Like, I love kids, absolutely. But if you are thinking of having a kid to keep a guy with you, or if that's going to save your marriage, think again. You are in a world of pain and money and sleepless nights. Actually, no. My second child, he sleeps so well. I have had such great nights sleeping. There's only been like 2 nights where it fucking sucked. And it's only because we were not at home. And then there are like seldomly like a few times where at home it just sucked. And that's because like my husband slept in the same bed. He and I can't sleep in the same bed at the current moment because the baby sleeps with me.
So the babies, yeah.
So it's
Sacrifices. Sacrifices. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's like, you know, with the whole thing about, you know, the choices that you have to make and some of the things that have to change, and you can't always do things in the exact way that you want to do them, because you've got to think about how it affects, you know, whether your kids or you know, whether it's going to affect their health or they're growing and things like that. You know, I feel like there's a difference between being selfish and being inconsiderate, right? You know, where it's important to, of course, think about yourself, because you have to put yourself first. You know, you need to be healthy. You need to do all these things, but you can't be so concerned. You can't be so in your own thoughts, or you can't be so focused on yourself that you're neglecting the people around you, the people that you care about. And especially, you know, when you know, you have kids, they're a priority, right? So, maybe, you know, like I say, when it comes to like spending time with your husband, like, you know, that has to change a little bit. And then you like figure out, okay, now we have to schedule our days when we can spend time together. And, you know, okay, so we can't do it today, so maybe next week, or, you know, when you got, and yeah, maybe it's not, maybe the picture doesn't look exactly like how you might have thought it would look. But in the end, as long as all the pieces that are really important to you are in that picture, you know, it's just figuring out navigating between them, you know. I don't know if that made any sense. Hopefully it made some sense.
No, it makes sense because like they're just like currently right now, since our babies are very young, it's kind of easy to be like, okay, we're going to have time for each other after we put the babies to sleep at like 9. So after the babies go to sleep, then it's like, okay, we have potentially 30 minutes to like 2 hours before we're going to be exhausted ourselves, unless we are already exhausted from work or just managing the house. So then it's just like, okay, now what do we do? Like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? There have been a few nights where we get to like play one game of Magic and that's it. And it sucks because it's like, oh, this game went on too long. And it's like, I'm not trying to make it long, but I'm trying to win. And it's like, I can't win fast enough.
Yeah.
Shit.
Win faster. Yeah.
Yes, that's much easier. But, you know, sometimes it's just the luck of the draw, or like if we want to watch anime together. Like one of the shows that we are watching together right now is Delicious in Dungeon. And that one is fun. Highly recommend. Do watch that.
I think I heard somebody talking about this show, actually.
I have finished.
Is it based on Dungeons and Dragons or something like that? Is that right?
It's not based off of that. There's actually a manga.
Oh, okay.
I think it takes inspiration from Dungeons and Dragons. But I mean, when you have a title that is Delicious in Dungeon, it obviously. But it's got its own like universe.
Okay.
It's good. It's really, I think it's wholesome, cute, and it's got it. The story keeps developing in a different way. And from what I understand, reading in the internet, it was that this manga creator was not forced to produce like fast and quickly. Like they were able to really take their time and develop the story out. So it's really good. Like the first part, it's a little slow in the sense of like your world building. You're getting an understanding of like who these characters are. And then once it gets deeper, then you're like, oh my God, what's this? Oh, okay. Oh. But it still has its quirky moments.
Mm.
And in each episode, they show you how to cook something.
Okay. Oh, wait. So it's like a wait. It's not a drama show.
It
So
is technically dramatic.
Okay, but I guess all right. So I guess you learn how to cook something by watching the actors act out stuff.
So you don't actually learn how to cook it. They're explaining what they do. They're like, all right, first we cut up some vegetables. We're going to slice the meat really thin, grill it, and now we have shish kebabs.
Okay,
like
okay.
That. It's not really like recipe based.
Okay, gotcha. So it's just kind of basic, showing you stuff. Gotcha. All right.
It's not just, like,
Delicious and
miracle,
dungeon.
like,
Shish kebab. Okay,
so that's part of our like mommy daddy time.
Yeah.
There are some cute moments that we get. Like, I know someone on my TikTok was like pissed off. They're like, "Oh, maybe you should look at the follies of having kids watch TV too young." I'm like, "You can shut the fuck up." I didn't reply to them. I'm just like, I don't need energy into this. But when you have a 2-year-old and a newborn, shut the fuck up. So that's not nice. Anyways, I think it's really cute because we actually have family TV time right before my son goes to bed or like takes a bath. And so like my husband will sit there and cuddle my 2-year-old, and then I'm holding the newborn, and we're all in the same room on like the bed or the couch. And we're just hanging out, watching TV for a little bit, and then we go off and do something else after 15 minutes. And it's really nice. So it's just like we're all calm, we're just relaxing. It's not this like family game night moment yet. When we get there, I can't wait.
That's coming.
I'm just like, I can't wait to teach you Monopoly.
Oh, you're gonna have arguments if you no. Wait till they're at least maybe 18, because like if you start Monopoly too young, because like if you start Monopoly too young, I know Monopoly says start at ages 5 and up or whatever it says on the boards. Don't ignore that. Wait till at least 18, because like the amount of arguments you're gonna get into playing Monopoly, trust, like you're gonna be, and not only that, people start making up their own rules about how was it if you land on free parking, you collect the money in the middle, or people. You be arguing. So yeah, save that to at least 18. At least 18. In the meantime, Connect 4 or Scrabble's a good one actually. Scrabble's a good one.
Oh, Yahtzee's a good one too.
Yeah. But not Monopoly. I've not played Yahtzee.
I like dice.
I like Monopoly, but it's not a game for kids, trust that.
Okay, so here comes the big question from Celeste. At what age do you introduce a Mario Party game to your kids?
I mean, I've never actually played a Mario Party game, so...
Cut out, we're done. This conversation...
I'm not sure I could answer that. I mean, going by what I know of Mario in general, I mean, I've played like Mario Kart and that kind of thing, and I think I played a little bit of Mario Tennis at one time as well. So going based of what I know of Mario games, I would say, again, wait till a bit older as well. Like, maybe not adult years, but certainly teenage years, like, 13, 15 kind of age, because like
pre-adolescent to like
just because like if I feel like especially stuff like Mario Kart, like if it's anything like Mario Kart, then again you're gonna have like just like they're gonna be throwing things around, you know what I mean? They're gonna be pissed off that that they didn't win. You're gonna have controllers just being thrown across the room. I don't know, maybe start them off in games that are like not easy, right? Not easy peasy lemon squeezy, but just hard enough to be a slight challenge, but easy enough for them to, can get through the challenge. That way you can ease them into stuff where you might be losing more often. You know what I mean? Ease them into that kind of stuff a bit later on.
Oh my God. So I have a story for you, and nothing against this little girl. So there's this girl who was like 7, 8, and she was like, looking around, and we had exploding kittens out. She did not understand the concept of exploding kittens. I'm like, when you see this bad kitten card, and it's like this card with the black on it, that's when you have to play a certain card. You must play the diffuse card. If you don't, you will lose. And I was just like, I don't know. I've told her like 6 times. I swear this child is dumb. So I was like, okay. But she had a good time. I'm like, uh-oh, you lose. Because she drew the card first. And I was like, you can't hold this card. It's like Old Maid, you know? Like if you get the Old Maid card, you lose. And that's why Exploding Kittens is so popular, because you're not supposed to have that card. So I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a bad mom, or maybe this kid is just not getting it, because I don't know. Not to say anything rude, but she's like homeschooled. She doesn't have like a lot of social interaction, I would take it. And I think that really impairs like social growth and understanding on how someone communicates with you. So that's why my child is at daycare very early at the age of 2, not even 2. But things in Denmark are run different, I guess. But I need my space.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, homeschooling, I guess, I mean, it's kind of controversial. I mean, there's kids have been homeschooled and I guess they've been okay. But I think a lot of times, yeah, like you say, kids who are homeschooled that kind of go through that. By the time they come out into the real world, their understanding of things is just so vastly different. And they're not necessarily stupid or things like that, but just because they haven't had that experience of like dealing with people, you know, outside of their mom or dad or whatever, you know what I mean? Like they haven't really had, or whoever's, you know, tutoring them, you know, they haven't really had much human interaction. So by the time they get out into the world, they're just like, they don't really understand how things work. Because you can learn about stuff, you can learn about societies, you can learn about culture in a book, but until you actually get into it and start being amongst people, you don't really know anything, you know?
Exactly.
You know, it's like learning to swim, like until you actually get into a pool. Like, you know, like it doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, or knowing to move your arms doesn't really mean much. You can be in the pool and put it into practice.
Yeah.
So yeah, same with culture, same with society. You just got to be there. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it has its pros and pros as well, but yeah, maybe
I
not.
also think like there's a lot too, because my brother has this one housemate about to be like ex-housemate. He's also like very, I wouldn't say like old, but he's like younger than us, but he's definitely almost past prime ages, if that makes any sense. And he's like still speaking like a teenager and saying incorrect things. And it's like, dude, what happened to your social awareness and your environmental surroundings? And I'm like, how do you teach that? How do you teach people to not say like stupid shit? It's just like, if you have someone that says, oh, I like Frank Sinatra, I really enjoy his music. It's like, oh, you're old. Like, why would you say that? And it's just like, oh, you like the classics, right? Like, why wouldn't you say something like that as opposed to a direct insult? Like, that's not right.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I know people who weren't homeschooled who say stupid stuff like that. So that might not be a whole school problem. That just might be an individual issue. Yeah, that just might be.
I'm just saying, like, there are people who weren't homeschooled and still have social awareness issues. I'm like, dude, if you have Asperger's, that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem is, like, maybe you're not trying to take the time out to understand that you have a problem or something. I'm not perfect. I know for a fact I'm not. But I know that I'm not going to tell someone that they're ratchet to their face, or, oh, you live in the bad part of town, and like be like, oh, you live in the ghetto. It's like, dude, I feel so bad saying that right now. But it's like, you don't say stuff like that. But this person casually does.
Time and place, right? Time and place. Like, I mean, you could insult somebody if it's appropriate to insult them, right? If it's, but yeah, maybe not just right off the bat, especially when it's like you don't really know them. You know what I mean? Exactly. You don't really know them, and like, you know, because I've had that as well. So some people where you maybe just meeting somebody and they just say some wild thing to you, and you just kind of like, I don't know you to know if that's supposed to be a joke or if you're actually trying to insult me. You know what I mean? It's just like,
oh my god, right?
What is this? Like tact, you know, have some tact. Because with your friends, right, with people you know that you've known for ages, blah, 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 you can have certain jokes, maybe for certain insults that you can just kind of pass with each other because you have that kind of relationship. But when it's like you don't know them or you just met or whatever, you just don't really know them like that. And they're saying these wild things and you're like, bro, Nah.
Yeah,
Nah.
exactly. Like you have to know the people, and you can't just use like inside jokes on outside people. It
Yes,
does not work that
yes,
way.
yes, yes. That's it.
But
That's
I'm like,
exactly it. That's
how do
exactly
you
it.
tell people that? How do you teach someone that, especially if they're over, let's say, the age of 25? So it's just like, if you're 25 and you don't understand inside jokes or like something like that, it's like, how do you teach that? Because I'm really worried that my kids will have that problem, and I'm like, I don't think they will. We'll see. But I'm just one woman, and how they develop when they're in school is another thing. Because
Mm.
you don't want your kids to be alone. You don't want them to be loners. I don't mind if he's weird. Just make sure in the future that you're able to have a roof over your head, pay for your food, and pay your taxes.
Mm.
Have a
Well, yeah. I
long
mean,
fun vacation.
weird is one thing. Just
Fine.
as long as they're not creepy, you know. Like, you know what I mean? There's weird, and there's there's a little bit too weird. Like because like weird is kind of like, okay, people could be a bit odd, and I think a lot of us have that. A lot of us can be a bit weird at times, and we could, especially like nerd in like nerd culture. A lot of us can be a bit weird, but then there's a point where it's like, no, that's wrong. Like yeah,
Well, no, 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 no.
you're
Let's
just
back up on
creepy.
that.
Like
So, like, nerd culture is so like in though. You know what I mean? Especially with like San Diego Comic Con just
oh, that's
happening.
true,
They're like,
true,
they're
true.
like, oh, look at this new shit that we're gonna do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh, look at all this Star Wars shit that we're gonna do. Look at this Game of Thrones shit. Like, that's Game of Thrones started because of a book. So if you're a fucking nerd that loves reading books, then that's popular now. So you have
Yeah.
nothing to be upset about that. Also, Lord of the Rings started from a book series about being elves and orcs and shit, which is also very nerdy. But now all these people are like, oh my God, that's the coolest shit ever. Look at me get the One Ring tattooed on my arm. Or look at me, I got a Sauron tattoo here. I don't have any of those. But I'm just like, the cool thing is really nerdy shit things. Maybe that's just what I'm saying, because I don't really see a lot of people like really pushing like American sport tattoos anymore. Or I know it's still famous. I know it's still popular, but it's definitely not as crazy big as like, Disneyland acquiring like Marvel stuff and putting it in their theme parks,
Mm.
or they're putting like, Star Wars Land in the theme parks, or I think there's just more merchandising and more money into like nerd culture now, as
Oh no,
opposed
for
to
sure,
like
for
sports
sure.
people.
For sure. Like, yeah, no, nerd culture's definitely been big business for a long time, and, but yeah, I think like you go back, certainly to, when I was kind of like, sort of school years and stuff like that, like, the nerds were definitely seen a lot of the time as the, the odd ones, or the, those kind of, you know, loner kids or whatever, that to kind of sit with other loner kids, and they don't really talk to each other because nobody even the loners don't like the other loners, so it's
Oh
definitely
yeah,
like the weird thing back in the day. And yeah, I mean, that sort of thing is like fine for me, like in terms of like because you got to be yourself. And I think like a lot of times nerds just they get that earlier, in terms of wanting to be yourself and just wanting to like the things that you like, even if it's not popular at the time or whatever.
yeah,
And you just kind of live in that space. And so that to me is like where it shines, in terms of learning to be who you are, and learning to like what you like, and learning to like not care what other people think so much, so yeah, that's cool when you can be like that, when you could be like, okay, it's fine if I'm different, I know who I am, and I know what I'm doing isn't wrong, I'm not hurting nobody, I'm not doing nothing bad, or creepy or whatever like that, I'm just living my life, so that's fine. But yeah, just don't
yeah.
be
I
creepy.
also think like it's
Just don't be
crazy
creepy.
because like, video games was also shown. It's like, oh, what, you like play video games? Oh yeah, bitch. Like League of Legends stuff is so crazy that it's like it makes so much money just from
Mm.
having like worlds and like people cosplaying on it. And it's just crazy because it's really crafted a huge new outlet of electronic sports,
Mm.
and that's why we have like events now that are like, oh, esports, look at this, it's the big Capcom blah 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 for Street Fighter. Evo happened recently as well. But I'm just saying, like, now we have sport versions of nerdy shit. You know, it's crazy. Also, okay. I really wanted to talk about this with someone, so we're gonna talk about this right now.
All
Why
right,
the
all right.
fuck don't we have esport cheerleaders?
You know what? I think I know why. I think I know
Oh,
why.
just
I
tell
mean,
me.
I don't know why, but I'm gonna.
But this
Something
is your
came to my
speculate.
mind, and this is yeah. I'm speculating. So if you go back to sort of '90s, early 2000s and stuff, you went to. In fact, you'll know this as well. Like if you went to a con, they'd have the booth babes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the booth babes were really popular at the time, especially for horny teenage dudes taking pictures
We're
with
still
some
horny.
girl with well, true. um, horny, just dudes, just dudes. Just to be honest, just dudes taking pictures with like beautiful, big tittied women, right? Like, so they were very popular, for that, right? And then over some time, that kind of got seen as a derogatory thing, and
Misogynistic.
misogyny, yeah, that kind of stuff. And there's some truth to that. To be fair, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't necessarily like the what's what I'm trying to say it yeah it kind of was. I mean, you basically were exploiting certain things, right? But anyway, so over time they got phased out. As you go to a convention now, in fact, you go to a convention over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years or so, maybe more, you just would not see that anymore. You might see kind of variation of it. You generally just don't see the old school booth babes. That's pretty much all gone, right? So now with esports coming up, now esports been around for a long time, I know, but esports only really started to get super popular, I think, in the last maybe 5 to 10 years, where it started to
Mm-hmm.
really kind of take off. Like before that, you had these competitions, and some of them were relatively big, but you didn't really have the massive stuff like now you got esports stars, you got esports teams, management, people doing
Yeah, people
trades,
flying
and
there first.
yeah, it's a whole kind of thing. So because that kind of
Yeah.
came up in that era where booth babes are pretty much being phased out. I feel like because of that, they kind of stayed clear of anything related to anything that's kind of close to it. So cheerleaders, even though they're not booth babes, there is a kind of a similar kind of area. So I feel like because of that, it was like you just they just don't do it. They just don't do
I
it.
mean, maybe. I don't know. Because I
But
feel
then
like
maybe I'm wrong.
I feel
Maybe
like
I don't know
that
what I'm
is
talking about.
trying to
Maybe I just
capitalize
pulled a
on
whole
it.
bunch of stuff
Like,
up my ass that makes absolutely
I
no
don't know.
sense at all.
Part of me's like, if I write a cheerleading plan and have people like after watching that Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, America's Sweethearts, like a Netflix show, I'm like, you know, that's not a bad idea for esports.
Hmm.
It's not, because there are teams for esports, like for, not Call of Duty, but Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Valorant. I'm just like, I think there's a business model here that might work
Yeah.
that doesn't necessarily have to feature the players. Like, we're not going to take away from the players. We want
Yeah.
to enhance the experience for the people while making money. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is such a great business proposition. Because, like, if I'm the first one to pioneer this, then it can become like a huge generating thing. And then photo
Yeah.
ops and then like community service kind of things.
I
I'm
think
just
it can
saying,
be done. I think there's ways
I
it
think
can
it
be
can be
done
done
where
in a good way.
yeah,
And
like
then,
you can. Oh, sorry. So, didn't mean to talk over you. My bad. Sorry.
that's okay. I'm just like, this would be amazing. I have an idea.
Yeah.
And how can I make this into a job? Because,
Yeah.
they hire cosplayers for events, but it's like, but why can't we hire like cheerleaders the same way?
Yeah, no, I think it can be done. I mean, maybe, I think the only thing that's comes to mind right now is that you might not be able to call them cheerleaders. Like, they might have to be a different name just because of what cheerleader gets associated with. But aside from that, the general idea of, let's say, having cosplayers doing like a dance routine or some kind of like small play or something like that, just some kind of something entertaining or whatever. Yeah, I think you could do that. Like you could
Hmm.
do that in some way. Like you maybe give it a different name. Maybe of course you don't have nothing exploitative and things like that. But you have like the Super Bowl and where they have like the halftime show and that kind of thing, or the Olympics where they have like the shows, ceremonies, and with the bands and stuff like that. Like you can, I feel like it's not, at least to my mind. And again, maybe there's things about esports I don't know. To be fair, I'm not watching a lot of esports, so maybe there's things that I'm missing that I don't know. But to my amateur mind, I feel like it's probably something that can be done, and maybe it's just figuring out how do you get the organizers to see your vision to hire you.
Yeah, it's a thought process, and it's also one of my future ideas for like a TikTok like series.
Hey, why not? Why not?
I
The
think
journey to esports cheerleading
oh no, it's more like
or
okay, esports
esports leading.
cheerleader tryouts part
Yeah.
1. So yeah,
Or
that's a
I mean, with esports, do they have when the teams come out? Do you know if they have like music playing, like entrance music?
yeah, kind of like WWE.
Oh, you could definitely do it then. Oh,
Yeah,
you could,
exactly. That's what
yeah,
I'm
you
saying.
could
So
definitely do it.
like go back and watch. Okay, if you want to watch anything, watch League of Legends Worlds, like any of them, because they have people like Zed, Calvin Harris, Kiki Palmer. Like they have these fucking high level people singing at Worlds, and then like the players come out and stand on stage. And it's like, well, you already have dancers. So what do you do in between matches when they're like refreshing? You can have the cheerleaders dance on stage, you know what I'm saying? So or like I don't know. I know that they're not there to cheer for the players themselves. They're there to represent the team and get the crowd hyped up, you know? So
Yeah.
it's just like why can't we do that? Like, why is this not a thing? And that's why I'm like trying to figure out how to formulate the business plan to pitch it to like Cloud9 or SKT, like just someone to have this to get the ball rolling and show them like this could be a business model working in conjunction with your players. So that way it's just like get more people hyped to buy more jerseys or buy more content.
No, yeah,
Like, yeah.
definitely. I feel like that could be done. That sounds like a good plan, like a good idea. I feel like it can be
Hey,
done. Make it
this is
happen.
why I
That's the
wanted
next
to
thing.
talk
You
to
got
someone
you got to
about
make it happen.
it. Okay.
Got to make it happen. I feel like that can be done. Like it
Like
seems
how
to
to
me,
make
at least anyway, like the pieces are already there, and
mm-hmm.
everything that you're talking about is kind of already there. It's just put it in a place where it's like, okay, well, we've got singers, we've got dancers, we've got this. Now how about we have like, say people in like the cosplay but the cosplay is maybe based on the team that they're representing, so it's kind of
Right.
like if they're playing on a league, they got like the league cosplay, but the league cosplay is like, has like versions of like, I don't know, league team X player.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but you know what I mean? Like just kind of it's
yeah.
infused with the outfit so that
Because
yeah, like
yeah.
they're cheering them on. Well, effectively, but it could be done. I feel like it could be done. I feel like it could be done.
So one of the things about League is that when you go into pro play, you can't like when you actually play League, there's banning champions. So you don't want the actual cheerleaders to be cosplaying as the characters that they play as, because then they know, okay, they're going to choose, let's say, this witch character. They're going to ban that character. Or, oh, you're playing as this mage. We're going to ban the mage this time. So it's just like, you don't want to necessarily choose the team's favorite champions, but some of the teams that have one have skins dedicated to, or like in-game cosmetics dedicated to the winnings for League of Legends Worlds Champions. And, that's like the highest honor for your signature to be in part of the game as a cosmetic. And then you get to choose the champion of choice, and that's forever in the game and then it goes away. So I think I don't know how that works if they get proceeds, but, when you win, you get the glory, the title, and you get to choose your champion. You help design the skin and such like that. So also the money. But yeah, so I think there's a way to do it in such that they can have their own kind of cheerleaders without overriding the laws and such. So yeah.
Yeah, no,
Oh yeah,
definitely.
that's something that I've been cooking on the back of my mind. It's on my giant spreadsheet of like mom's things that I would like to evolve into.
Better
I
do it
have
before somebody steals the idea from you, though. I'm telling you, get it done before somebody steals the idea.
they have to be really fucking good at business to be able to steal the idea from me.
Well, some
Because
people
like
100%.
one, I
Just
know
saying.
how to sell. Two, if I can get the business plan done and then pitch it in a sense that they could understand it, that's good. But the hardest part about this whole cheerleading thing is finding the people to fill those slots.
You know
Because
what?
if you want a squad of cheerleaders, you need to have like a good amount, right, of people to fit it. So
Yeah,
if it's a new thing and you just choose random dancing people, that's not good. Because then it's just like, okay, like you have these dancers, but are they coordinated dancers? Do they look good? Are they going to represent the brand? Do they know how to handle PR? Like a lot of things when it comes to becoming someone's brand, um, they need training because you can't just say, oh yeah, I'm for Gaza or oh, I'm for Israel, like it's this huge thing of like you have to have the etiquette, you have to have the look, and then you have to be like in the media's presence. Like you can't just be out there like smoking weed and be like, oh yeah, I smoke weed, blah 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 blah, but I'm a great dancer. Like your person or the team that you are representing might not want that, and then they might be the best dancer in the entire group, but if they don't align morally with what the company wants, you're kind of SOL. So
FOL.
also not just about like the
Oh,
business
SOL.
model.
Yeah, yeah. Shut up. Yeah, yeah. Okay, gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like this whole like search for dancers that will fall in line. I'm not saying smoking weed is bad, but company wise they might not like that.
Yeah, no, I get that in terms
I'm
of
not
like public image and what people want to be associated with or not associated with, etc., etc. And but yeah, no, I get that. I get that. And yeah, no, I think that could definitely be a challenge because you could find dancers, you could find even good dancers, but yeah, can you find dancers? Excuse me, voice is breaking. You find dancers that are going to align with, good at what they do, but could also align with, what your image want to be, and that could be tough because you might find people who maybe they're okay in the beginning, later on it's a problem, or I mean, you can't predict everything, but in the end of the day, there's always going to be
Yeah,
challenges in
they
terms
have
of
to treat it
how things go
like
down and
a title job.
how much creativity they're allowed to have, how much creativity they need to have or they want to have, what they want to do versus what you want them to do. That could always be a thing as well, especially if you're hiring a dance crew, where they work together all the time and they come at dances all the time. And you're like, okay, cool, that's great, but we need you to do this, 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 and this. And they're like, but that's not really our thing. And then, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you would have to work that into the contract. So,
Yeah, indeed.
well,
All
anyways.
right, all right. Well, before we end today, I do have one last question for you, Celeste Orchid. And
Oh,
as recent news has happened in the MCU world, and as you happen to be wearing an Iron Man t-shirt
I wore
today.
it today because I had to go to the vet with my dog.
Oh, Iron Man's looking after your dog. Okay, awesome.
But yeah, also nerd mom.
What do you think of the news about Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU as Doctor Doom?
So immediately, this is totally not really related to it, but hearing that he's returning to the MCU as Doctor Doom, all I think is Marvel versus Capcom, foot dive, foot dive, foot dive, foot dive. That's because it's a video game thing, and some of the popular characters that chose Doctor Doom did this combo where it was constantly Doctor Doom foot diving, foot diving.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's like a stomp kick thing. So it's a kind of a joke. Honestly, I think it's a little bit of a cash grab. Like, oh, this is where we're going to go with it. I've read some posts saying that there is a universe where Iron Man does become Doctor Doom. I am not familiar with that universe. All I could think is Robert Downey Jr. spending too much money on cocaine, so he needs the job again, and he's needing a new
Well,
way back in.
it's
Or
possible.
or is this a way to salvage the MCU because they're not doing so well, and this is just something else? Because I thought they were building up to Galactus, and that's a little disappointing that they had to go to the Doctor Doom route. And I thought the Fantastic Four movie flopped because Doctor Doom deals a lot with Fantastic Four.
Yeah, there's a new Fantastic Four movie coming at some point. But yeah, the previous Fantastic Four movies didn't do so well. Which is kind of a shame, actually, because the last one they did wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but for sure. Like, it wasn't a good movie, but it wasn't as bad as... I personally don't think it was as bad as a lot of people said it was. I mean, it wasn't good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But it had its charm.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's... I mean, I'm pretty okay with it overall. At the end of the day, he's an actor. Actors gotta act, right? And... Doctor Doom's a character that wears a mask most of the time, so I imagine they're probably not going to show his face too much anyway. That's what I'm guessing that. Especially as it's likely he's not playing like Doctor Doom before he becomes Doctor Doom. He's up there in the ages, so he's probably not going to be playing like young Doctor Doom, right?
Right.
Probably not. So yeah, I'm guessing he's going to have a mask on most of the time, if not all the time, and so it's not going to matter that much anyway. But overall. Yeah, overall, I mean, I'm pretty okay with it. I will say that I would personally say I preferred if they just didn't get rid of Jonathan Majors in the first place. Because like I still feel that was unfair that they fired him. But they did. That's done. Ain't nothing I can do about it. So if they're gonna go this route, I'm okay with it. I'm a
little disappointed in the fact that why couldn't they have just brought out a Doctor Doom guy and been like, this is what's going to happen? And then when the movie comes out, then it's revealed to be Robert Downey Jr.
That could have been cool,
I think that would have been a bigger power play as opposed to, oh, here I am at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah. Yeah.
Important again. Talk about me. I'm important. I'm the big guy. It's like, dude, you've been the big guy. You're the guy that started it all. Like, you don't need to be that guy. Kind of like Hugh Jackman. You don't need to be Wolverine again. Actually, you do. I didn't see the movie yet. So it's kind of like one of those things of you can retire the mantle and then do something else, which Hugh Jackman did. He was on Broadway for a long time. And if you haven't seen The Greatest Showman, that's a great fucking movie. We should do a podcast on that. But Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU kind of seems like a cash grab for Disney. And it's a little pathetic because I'm really wished that we could have done something more with the multiverse and played more with Madam Web. And the fact that Madam Web is its own standalone movie and not connected to Spider-Man or Venom or anything else in the MCU really fucking pisses me off. Same with the whole Morbius guy. Dude, he's supposed to be part of the MCU because he's one of Spider-Man's dudes. But no! So I'm more miffed at the fact that, yes, we are getting all these comic book movies, but they're not remotely close to the original lore. And that's kind of pisses me off, which is okay in so many essences because there are so many different Earth realm, blah, 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 451, whatever. And it's just okay, in this universe, this is what this is. In this universe, this is what this is. And it's well, which universe are we trying to follow? Because it's one cohesive universe. Because even the old Netflix series of the Defenders, eventually Foggy and I believe Daredevil make their appearance into the movies somewhere. Do I know where? I don't know where. I haven't been keeping up after Endgame. What's after Endgame?
After Endgame was Black Widow.
It was Infinity War and then Endgame. And then after that, I fell off because I didn't even watch the Eternals. And that's got Gamma Chan. And I'm I love you.
She is cute.
Yeah.
But yeah. That movie sucked, though.
I love her.
So, yeah. Actually, let me not say it sucks. That's a bit harsh. It just wasn't good. Let me just say that. It didn't suck. It just wasn't good.
Unexpected because that's a mega prequel, isn't it?
It's I think the biggest problem with that movie is that they try to do too much in one movie, especially with all those characters. There's a lot of characters in there. and they tried to do too much. I feel like it should have been either spread out over 3 movies, or maybe do it as one of the shows, like as a TV series, because you need time to understand the characters, develop them more, and you just don't have that in a 2 hour or 2 and a bit hour movie. 2 hours and whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe just write it better.
Exactly. If you just wrote it better and followed, a script like it's law, then it's fine. You can make minor adjustments, but don't keep changing it. Kind of like Bridgerton, which we should talk about that. Highly recommend you watch Bridgerton. That's one of my current projects. Oh,
I've not watched Bridgerton. I keep hearing about Bridgerton. Like, there's a guy in this that I think all the girls like, right? There's the cute guy or the good-looking guy. Because every time I hear someone talk about Bridgerton, they talk about one guy. I forget his name right now, but he's supposed to be really handsome and good looking, and all the girls like him.
Are we talking about Colin?
That could be it.
Because he's this season's hot guy.
Oh, so there's this new hot guy each season.
Kind of.
Okay.
So with Bridgerton, it's a like the TLDR. Really quick before we end the podcast, Bridgerton, each season, there's one family member of Bridgerton that is the focus of the story and the romance. So each season has a new Bridgerton family member finding their love match.
Okay.
And that's why it's called Bridgerton.
Okay, so Bridgerton's the family, and each member each season finds their love match. And that's a hot guy for that season. Because there's a Bridgerton, because I think I saw a Bridgerton advert for was it a modern day Bridgerton or something like that? Is that right? One set in the modern era? Is that right?
No.
Because they're not set in the same time period, are they?
Tea Party, that's set in modern times, but there's no modern Bridgerton that I know of.
All right, I might be missing. But I might be missing something.
They're deviating from the.
Never mind. I might get around to Bridgerton eventually. There's 4 or 5 seasons I think at by now. I've not watched it at all. I'll just hear. Oh, it's only 3. Okay, that's not too bad. I might try and get round to it then. At the moment, I'm watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I just started season 5 of that, the Golden Wind season. And it's pretty, I'm about 14 episodes in of that season, and it's pretty good so far. It's weird at times, overall, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it definitely gets a little weird. It lives up to its name, being bizarre, but overall it's pretty good. So getting through that, and that's what I'm watching right now, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Okay.
Celeste.
We can end there.
Yeah. We talked about a lot of stuff today, but before we end, is there anything else you'd like to mention before we hit the stop record button?
Check us out on TikTok and follow our YouTube channels to see what else content we are producing. If you haven't, go watch our Ghibli podcast where we discuss Spirited Away.
Oh, speaking of Spirited Away, I did actually go see the play to Spirited Away recently, last week. Really, really good. Really good. It was really good. It's I don't think they're doing many shows. I saw it end of July. I think their last shows are going to be the end of August. Whether they bring it back after that, I guess waits to be seen. But right now, it's ending very, very soon. So tickets are mad expensive if you get them right now. Lucky enough, I bought them really early, so I got them quite cheap. But if you're buying tickets now, they're so expensive because there's just not many seats left and it's ending soon. So, but it's good. They did a great show.
Well, that's all I have.
Check us out. Leave a like, leave a comment, share all that as Celeste just suggested. Please do drop any suggestions in the comments and all that. We're on Twitter and
it's not
other
Twitter
platforms. X, we're on X. My bad. X. We're on X because X gon' give it to you. We're on that.
Give it to you.
X gon' give it to you. Yeah, we're that's what we are. Drop a comment, drop a tweet, all that. Thank you for watching and or listening, and until whenever, if ever, peace.